You can clearly see my schedule here. It's got some really nice contrast on the letters, but then I'll change to my big stupid head, and yeah, there's a completely different situation. Same text, hard to read. It occurs to me that it did occur to me many times that I should change the color, but inside of OBS, the software I'm using for broadcasting, the ways to change the color of text are obscure. I assume they're there. I assume it's been done before. I assume somebody knows how to do it. But the stuff I see is like I can open up like a filter that modifies the color balance, and yeah, I don't know. Everything about the software has been pretty easy except changing the color of text. So there's white text there. Hey, I'm Eric. I'm Eric Hermanson. I'm a game developer. I've released games before, and I have another one. It's called The God Killer. And Monday through Thursday around 6 p.m. in the PST, I am live coding. You're invited to be there with me. And you're invited to interrupt me a little bit. I'm pretty gracious about that. If there's something you have on your mind, if it's even somewhat interesting to me, even slightly not, I'll probably respond in a friendly, amiable way. I like talking to people. To some extent, I think I'm like somewhere on the spectrum between introvert and extrovert. Get tired after a little bit, but you know what? A chat window like is such a insulation from a full-on exhausting conversation with someone. Or the people listening to me, I'm sure, are going to be very exhausted because somehow I'm able to generate this one-way stream of me out at you. And I'm getting better at it in terms of being able to keep it up. I'm not saying that it's more entertaining now than it was before, particularly when you're waiting to see the game or something about games and game development. So let me move over to that. All right. So this is the game. It's called The God Killer, and I got to get good at pitching it because I know this because I've released games before, and I hated selling my own game or even just explaining it. The fact is, I do believe in this game. I do believe it's going to be, I'm not going to say successful. I'm going to say that it's going to be worthwhile for me, for people that are of the right type of mindset for this kind of game. So some things about it. It's quantized. Now, if you were playing a game of chess and you had to move your pawn piece 2 squares, in your mind you think of it as you pick up the piece and it gradually moves into the next square forward, and now it's partially outside of the first square, and now it's partially moved past the second square, and now it's coming to a rest. No, as you're playing the game, you visualize it as pieces are entirely inside or outside of squares, and there's even something in your mind that I think is there, which is a more abstract model of the board, so that when you look at that board, even though it's like a mess of physical shapes, your mind pretty quickly sorts it out to be an 8x8 grid with different things in exact locations in each of those 64 possible spaces. And in such is the mentality of this game. Even though I made efforts to add animations and flair, it comes down to your piece here is in 1 square, and when you choose to move east, your piece moves entirely into that square, and the consequences of that action are evaluated. Now, after you've moved, immediately your opponent, you could say your opponents, you could say all these other pieces here, they move, but in reality there is a single controlling entity. So it is like if you were playing chess, you moved your piece, and then immediately the opposing player got to move all the pieces on the board, and it happened so fast that as soon as you issued your move, you're waiting again for your second move. And that's what this is. I click, and a command has been issued, all the other pieces have updated. Click, there we go. So what I've added most recently is those blue explosions, those particle effects. I'm somewhat proud of them. I had started out with the Unity built-in particles. Decided I didn't like that, so I ended up creating my own particle system. Not because I'm a cocky, arrogant, self-indulgent guy, but because I had a vision of what I wanted these to look like, and it seemed easier to just write my own code. Most of the time I'm in a hurry to reuse existing code and just get the thing built faster. But I want control of these explosions so that the variety of different deaths that can happen will show effects specific to it. And also I wanted, I don't know, I wanted all the particles to move very precisely. I wanted to arrange the starting locations of the particles. I wanted the ability to kind of craft up an explosion per creature that dies. And so I've got all that control now. I can do lots of things with it. And it's also quite performant. It's designed to be instanced from a pool where all these explosions are just reused, and the objects you see are just kind of hidden when they're not in play, and then when they come back in play, they're shown again. So that's the deal with that. What am I going to do today? Now, my main character M that I'm controlling, you can see her moving around. Her color scheme is she's red. Whatever she does is red, and if she dies, I don't want her to have a blue explosion. I want it to be a red explosion, and maybe other tweaks to it as well. So I'm just going to start making changes that will allow her to have her own explosion, and it'll aid you, the player, in seeing in confusing moments who exactly died. Was it me or somebody else? So it'll add to the game in that way. So let me go into that. And here you're going to see a ridiculous change in pace, because I started off with a lot of energy, like huckster energy, like I'm just out there on the street corner pitching at you. And now I can't sustain that pace. I need to get into a more contemplative mode, get into the code. So you're going to see me slow down a little bit, talk much less, which may be a relief to you. But don't worry, I will keep up the patter. Don't worry about that. So first thing I know I have to do is have more than one pool. So pools are what keep what the explosions are kept in while they're waiting to be used. So now I'm considering the structure I want to use for the pool. And I think I'll just go with pool brawlers, pool player. Oh, I went to the wrong file. So this will remain pool. I take it back. So this will stay a pool. A different thing. A different thing. Where is the spotter pool? Okay. See what I mean? I've entirely slowed down. My whole attitude has changed. It's like I just got out of a boxing match, and now I'm gonna give somebody a massage. I'm gonna be a lot more gentle now. You'll be amazed at the transformation. Okay. So let me think through this. It's not enough to get a sploder. You want to get a type of sploder. You can get and what's going to go? Okay, I know what I need to do. Whenever I start making false starts, I need to stop and think of a plan. Sometimes multiple plans, and then choose one of them. So things that need to happen. Need multiple pools. One for each type of thing that can explode uniquely. Okay. And everything that calls explode must know type of piece. Let's make this more precise. So that means a lot of new passing around of information, perhaps. Okay. Then I'm thinking of some different options. Number one. Explode type, pass the type and the rest of the parameters. Number two, explode type. Thinking of different ways I can change this method so that it allows for instancing different types of explosions. So the problem with having, like, this would be like explode player, explode brawler, is every place that I call explode currently, it's going to have like some kind of switch case or if then else type logic in it to call the right thing, and I'd end up encapsulating that in some kind of function anyways. I'm not going to repeat that if then else logic in all those places. So if I'm going to perform that encapsulation anyways, then it might as well be in this function, this explode type. So the next thing I want to know, this is an eliminated option. What really is type? And how does it get passed? And I'm thinking of one hole in my C# knowledge. Get class of object. Get type method. So does it return okay. So that's how I get the type. So let's say explode is type. Piece type. I'm going to call this, when I change it, I'm going to call it explode piece because it's more specific. The only types of things I'm using this to explode are pieces. Later on I might make make a more generic type of explosion or an explosion applied to something else, then I'll change the method. So piece type, and then just the same stuff that's down here. Okay. Then inside of explode piece, map piece type to pool. Would like to have something kind of fast to do that with, instead of doing like a big if type equals this. You know what might be informative is if I just take a look at what actually type is about. So here is a place where piece gets passed, and I'll say type piece type equals piece get type, and I just want to set the debugger and see what I actually get with type, because I'm kind of I won't say I'm a complete newbie to C#. I'll say I am a newbie to C#, but I'm like pretty advanced in other languages, so I'm not like a real. The language features of C#, I'm just kind of learning a little bit here. What is piece type? Okay, so let's start the debugging, and then I'll get the debugger to go to that line of code. So something died right away, and the piece will be a brawler. So I want to see what gets assigned to type, or piece type. I suppose I could have looked up the docs for it too, but the thing is, like a word as generic as type, if I do keyword searches, it'll bring up everything. It's such a pain when you get a bad search term. It's too general. Okay, well, let's look at the public stuff. Okay, so I get full name, so I could use that. It'd be great if there was like a Well, I could create a dictionary and put in all the names I know about and have them map to pools. But thinking about it, that might be kind of silly. Depends on how many different types of explosions I end up with. I'm counting on my fingers. Player, brawler, beamer. These are the different types of enemies and things that can explode. God. God is a character in this game, and presumably you could kill him. Although that I won't have like a regular explosion effect for him. Let's take God out. Okay. Heavies, spikers. So that is 6 different things. Okay, that's worth a dictionary. Just barely, I think, but I think it is worth it. So I could do a dictionary, pre-populate it. I can make it static, pre-populate it before any of these calls are made, and I won't be creating memory allocations and garbage collection all the time if I do that. So that, I think that's fine. And then whenever I call explode here, I'll pass the piece type which I'll have stored previously. Okay, that works. I think that's the solution. I think that's all there. So type piece type private read only. Private read only. You know what I really want is for that to be not the whole piece, but just the name. Name. That'll do it. Piece type, name. Okay. This will become explode piece. Alright, so back to, let's get rid of some of this stuff. There's just too many things open. It's gonna mess me up. Oops, cancel. Okay, save that. Yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch of whenever I do a bunch of code changes, I feel like I might as well stop the debugger. I hope Unity's not still running. It is, so undo that. Okay. Okay, so it's gonna be so this will also have to change. I'll have to do something like this. It's a weird thing that it's 6 o'clock and coffee sounds really good to me. Usually does not at this point. No, this isn't. Here, I'm just thinking too hard about how to change this tiny little function here so that it returns two things, and it's just adding 2 lines of code. It's not really, it doesn't really have a need to be refactored. It's not useful to refactor it at this point. So if I just put that there, that's a lot simpler actually. And I'll just add a little comment. Get, let's see, init exploder pools as needed. And get pool for this piece type. Next available exploder pool, and start it exploding. There, that's pretty simple. Okay, next. I suppose I could code this more defensively to kind of fail gracefully if the type that was asked for isn't there in the dictionary, but I think I'll just treat that as a debug error. Let it fail hard. Okay. And didn't really want to do that yet. Okay. So then I gotta go to main and do the thing which creates these pools. So here I have to be a little bit careful. Because when I call exploder util and I say explode a piece, it is storing, and this is all static, everything is static. So the exploder pools are being stored in the static object. That means that when I load in new levels, that same static object will be present. So I need to think through the scope a little bit. So create exploders for board. Okay, so I need it to, I need, this is going to get refactored. There's just too much logic here. But I'll start with it here. So I want clear exploders, empties, pools in dictionary. Not in the dictionary. Maybe I should keep the dictionary here. Or what's stopping me from moving like all this logic into exploder util? I was nervous about this brawler exploder prefab, I think. So I do want like the public variables for the prefabs to be kept with main. Is that true? Yeah, I go along with that. So, what are the things that need to happen? I'll call it init time. No pools. Create a dictionary with pools for all types. Initial capacity 1. Okay. Load new level. Clear all pools. But not the dictionary. Dictionary is always going to stay with the same keys and values, and the values are going to be the pools, but the contents of the pools will be cleared. Okay. We want to get a count of pieces for each type, and then set capacity of date. I don't even really need to update the capacity of those pools. I could just, their queues, all I have to do is just add more pieces to them. The pools have a queue structure which holds all the explosion objects. So I feel like this code should just move the exploder util. Or, you know what I could also do? Well, let me just make the function signature what it would be like if it was in exploder util. So it would be public, static, and it would be exploders for every type. So it would be brawler exploder prefab for the player. It's going to be annoying to include these all here like that. I suppose I could pass a dictionary with them all in there. Nah, I don't want to do it that way. But I will just put them all out like this so I can see them more easily. Okay. Did I miss one? Let me go through my pieces. Beamer, brawler, heavy, player, spiker. No, that's it. There's just 5. Go alphabetical. Okay. That's probably the way to do it. And then populate exploder pools. This one can also clear them out, and it just needs a count for each one. Beamer count, brawl units, yeah, all of these. can hear the evangelicals outside with their speakerphones. Seriously, outside of me there are people walking around with those megaphones talking about how you will go to hell if you do it. It's just like a lot of religious stuff. I don't like them that much. Okay. So pools. So if I get the name of these wrong, if they don't match up to the type, then that's kind of messed up. So let me see if can I get the type from this? It's just gonna be it's gonna be like the same name as the class. So it's kind of like no, it's not a pool of pools. It's an index pointing out. It's a dictionary of pools. Okay. So then, what do I do to add those guys? Let me look back at my other code. Create exploders. Forward. Huh. So I'm deliberating whether I want to just get rid of the old pool and make a new pool. Might be a lot simpler. Or even do I need that initial one? So I know what I do want though. I do want to hold on to these prefabs. I don't want to have to specify them down here again. Maybe I do. Maybe it doesn't hurt anything. I don't really need the pools created here yet. And I could do this. I know that will end up creating more allocations in garbage collection, but my rule here is I'm okay with that happening in between level loads. Level loads. Let's just do this. It's not going to kill me to have a whole bunch of values that are passed. And let's just call this create exploder pools. This will be called when the new level's loaded. And that simplifies it pretty well. So then, go back to main. I need to set up some more prefabs for my other types of explosions. Trying to think if there is actually a way to kill the heavy. Yeah, drowning. He can drown. He can be dropped on top of spikes. Okay. That. Okay. So have an index to all the reactants, and that will, those are all the pieces that move after the player moves, and it means it'll give me 4 of these groups. So I just say I'll get all the reactants. Then I'll just do a count for each type that I find inside of there. So int, what do I call them over here? Yeah, cool. Here's the thing I'm not sure about. If I look at the type of the reactant, is it just going to come back iReactant piece? Or is it going to find the type in there? I think I can just do a casting check. If reactant is brawler piece, I think that'll do it. This kind of begs to be refactored off to Explorer util as well. But I'll finish writing it before I do that. Yeah. It should go off over there. So I don't want the board logic there though, so maybe let's say 4 reactants. No, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. Getting kind of hobgoblin-y about this whole thing. Let's see. Explorer util. This and combine it. Okay, so that should count them all up and create them down beneath. I've got some different problems in my compilation. Really? Okay. What did I mess up? This here. Alright. So create exploders for board. Pass in the board. Pass in the prefabs. It's going to count up everything. Player count will not get counted because it's not a reactant. It's just always going to be 1. Kind of bugs me to do it this way, but if I keep fiddling with it, it's not really worth it. Because what I could do is I could make a new method of this pool that would resize it based on the actual number of elements that are needed in the queue, which is the data structure in the pool that's used to track this. But the benefits I get from it would be marginal. I am accepting that there'll be some garbage collection that happens in between the levels, and that's where this would occur. But on this player pool, I'm just thinking it's always going to be 1 explosion. So I'll say we'll go ahead and create it if it hasn't been created before. Player pool is always just 1. So recreate it. So create it 1 time. And now there is no initializing inside of here. That's a nice feature. Okay. So it's getting there. So this, we no longer have that there. We no longer have spoiler, anything with spoiler pools in here. Okay, when the board finishes loading, I do want I'm going to do this. So we'll set the board. Why am I dying for coffee? That makes no sense. I had plenty of coffee today. What is this? Get the piece type name. Why? Oh. What am I doing? Okay. So, piece type name. So that one will have some lines I just want to copy and paste from. So what else? Okay. A lot of copy and paste here. Okay. Okay. That might be all the code changes I need, minus the bugs that will invariably pop up that I'll have to fix. So let's add in the actual prefabs, or at least to start, just to get a baseline. I'll just copy more brawler sploders in. But the idea is that all of these different places here where there could be prefab put in, I could add in something different, and that would affect the geometry and the mesh basically that's used for the explosion. So let's find the sploders. And oddly enough, I do have some other kind of reject sploders that I could put in. I could take the first one and stick it in there. Yeah, okay. So let me put this on player. And I'll just, so it doesn't give me an error, I'll just fill all these other ones in with the brawler sploder. Okay. Save. Come on. Come on. It's like I didn't even do anything. I just opened the menu and closed it, and it gave me a spinny like it was doing something. I hope the video encoding on this is good, because I just let's see, because I use this setting called ultra fast with the hope that it would improve performance in an acceptable way, but it might have just like totally degraded the video quality. I'll check it later. I used a different one yesterday that was a little bit faster than my usual one. This is all OBS geekery. I'll shut up about it. basically I'm forever tweaking with that. Okay, I just don't feel well, that's kind of interesting. That's a good warning, actually. That's a very good warning, because if I didn't set this value, then this assertion down here would be firing. So let's at least do that. Okay, so the thing I was about ready to say is that when I write a ton of code, it gives me no lasting satisfaction to hit play and see it all work, because I just kind of know that I probably missed something and I won't be happy until I actually go and check out what's going on. So see, and these warnings are actually pretty good. Yeah, that warning actually caught another error for me. But I don't want to, here. Pretty easy, I'll just set it here. New. This is an embarrassing moment with the C# language. I'm sure there's a nicer way to do this, but just having to repeat this again right here. Just to say, the object of this very long type, create a new instance of it, it will also be the same type. I mean, that's not an elegantly expressed bit of code. I don't know a better way to do it with C#. Okay, so let's see. I want set debug there. Start debugging. Okay. Let's see the pools. Let's see the pools. Multi-pools. Okay, my dictionary should be in good shape. It is. For my reactants, I expect there'll be about 5 or no, there's a bunch now. Maybe 8 or 10. Yeah, 10. Okay, and they'll all be brawlers. Kind of messed up there. Let's see. I didn't pass any of these values in. I actually think it won't work. So yeah, I'm going to stop debugging and fix it. So if anyone is watching this and you're kind of a game programmer yourself and you're thinking, why don't you just hit play and just see what works, and if it doesn't work then you fix it, right? It's just real easy to miss stuff even when you it all seems to work at first. I mean, there's no substitute for thinking it through. And then after that, you've got maybe test-driven development, which I haven't done too much of for this particular bit of code because there's not as much logic in this, which is more suited to unit tests. There's more kind of UE intermixed view type stuff. Then your other thing would be stepping through the code and just walking through it and seeing what it does. Okay. So I'm thinking of the case where the counts are 0 and what will happen with my pools when they get initialized with a count of 0. So I'm just going to go look at that. I'll just say if count equals 0, return without doing anything. I don't think it's valid to initialize a queue with count of 0, and I would rather these other things fail obviously, because that should tell me that there's something very wrong in my initialization. So that's what I'll do for that. Okay, step through again. I'm just looking through all the reactants or the enemy pieces and checking how many of each type I have. I would set a breakpoint ahead and just go to it, but there's some screwy stuff in Visual Studio when you do that. So I'm going to take my lumps and just iterate 6 times through this, or 10 times through this array. Ugh. Okay. Well, that much is good. So I already know that this should work. Okay. Okay, it should not contain a key called player piece. Okay, so then we initialize it with just 1. Okay, cool. I'm just going to hit play. And now we'll see what stupid things it does next. Okay, going. Something is exploding. So it should be a brawler piece. I want to see the right pool come up. Alright, that's fine. Move from pool. I think that's all good. Alright, play testing time. Okay, those are fine. Okay, now I'll do the player. So I'm going to kill myself. And yes, I got a different type of explosion. Excellent. So now I go into the realm of aesthetics. I just create some new stuff here, and I can go to Photoshop. I can go back to this guy. I'm going to set this to red. Okay. So let me take this one that's my prefab. Use it as a starting point. I'll just delete the old one so I don't get confused. I have gotten confused before. Unpack this one, and I'll rename it to be the player prefab, player exploder. So I'm thinking, just to start, it's probably simple enough to just kind of swap out these textures. So I could just be dragging these off onto here, but I feel like I'll just end up missing a bunch, so I might as well go through. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I can just do all the ones that are not accent particles, and I can group set them. So if I just go all of those, and then I set element 0 to be, oh, but I forgot something else. So in my other animation, I've got 4 different materials with slightly different tints. I'll come back and do that as well. Man, I do have a whole bunch of stuff here. Jesus, it's a lot of particles. It just makes me wonder if there's a lot of duplicates in there. I don't remember creating that many particles. That's hundreds. That's hundreds. I mean, it's still relatively fast. Alright, let's do the variations in color. I gotta do like an audit on this model, because I feel like I didn't make that many particles. I probably got a ton of duplicates in there. Alright. The question is, if I just move some of these, will there be another one right underneath them? No, not there. Whoa. No, sir. I know what's going to happen with this. It's going to continue. So I'm just kind of randomly picking some of these particles to be different colors. don't get the impression there's duplicates in there. Alright, so then let's take Exploder prefabs and let's add in this new one. Oh, I hate shit like that. Okay, so I know what that is. I have to set all of these using the Pro Builder way. I can't set them in the initial way I did, which was picking them all inside of the inspector and setting them to equal one material. But this is not hard. Just gotta look for blue, find the blue. Maybe this should be a game, just figuring out how to click on the polygon and change its color. It actually does get harder when I get down to these last stragglers. This is helping me verify the number of game objects I have here is reasonable. So I thought, how could I have like 100 plus like 100 plus friggin' game objects in there? And now that I actually go through and click a bunch of them, I'm like, yeah, I guess it seems about right. And they're in discrete locations. They're not just all glommed on top of each other. I've yet found two that were in exactly the same place. If they were that way, there would be Z fighting. It would be very obvious. Well, it would come up. I won't say it'd be very obvious. Sometimes you have to kind of fiddle around with the positioning to see the Z fighting. But usually it kind of looks like a shimmering effect, and it's not that cool looking. You can fool yourself into thinking it's cool looking for a little bit, but then eventually it just looks like ass when you're honest with yourself. Okay. I must be down to the last 10. And that one's interesting. Okay, there was one duplicate I found so far. And I found it because I was clicking on the texture and it was not changing. I admit this isn't thrilling to watch, but I'm almost done. It's not. How do you think I feel about it? I mean, it's very repetitive. If you feel bored, actually that's not quite true. It's actually much more interesting to be doing the thing that's maybe slightly repetitive than to be watching someone doing it. Okay. Jesus, man. There's so many blues that keep coming up. It feels like I'm close to being done, and then I find a few more. I must be close to done though. I must be. Like how many more could there possibly be? I guess one thing is you see different ones at different angles. What if somebody was setting them back to blue when I wasn't looking? That someone would probably be ProBuilder if that were happening. ProBuilder in materials. It's kind of mischievous with them. It gets an idea that a certain mesh should have a certain material, and then it stubbornly clings to that decision of its, no matter what the user says. Okay, I got him. Just eyeballing it a little bit. Is the color kind of good? Alright. So then let's take this, drag it off over here, and see if it does another silly update. If it does, I'll be really upset. No, that takes. Okay, so then go back to main, and the new player exploder, it goes here, and I just try it out. There's me in red. They're blue, I'm red. Boy, it really does look like blood, though. Maybe I should... Okay. But it's not really my goal to have it look like blood. So I'm just wondering if maybe I should take the ones that are a little bit orange colored and make them, you know, maybe a pinker or bluer. Let me take the... Yeah, there's some here that just look a little too like blood. And it's not really the effect I want. Did that change it? Maybe this one is still... this one's still a little bit too much. Could do that. I like having some dark things, though. Maybe just... Also, for whatever reason, there just aren't very many dark particles. So maybe a few more of those. Is it 2 or 3? I think it's 2. Yeah. Okay, cool. So then update the prefab. Also, I just see a ton of these accent guys out here, and I want to move them closer in. I don't know why they were all floating out there. Yeah, these guys are just, they're out of control. I gotta get them back in with the main group. Why the spinny? Okay, can you just be inside of the boundaries of the square? Yes. Okay, then we'll take that and update the prefab again. And test it out again. There's some other bug that has nothing to do with the explosions. It has to do with the respawning. And I do want to fix that, although I may not fix it right now. Oh, now I can't respawn because there's somebody in front of each of the exits. So that's not actually a bug. That's just bad level design. I should think about that in the game, though. Like, there ought to be a different way to handle that. Let me just take some of these guys out. It's fun to see them all explode, but I think they're gumming up the works a bit. Oh, you have glasses. This means that, hey, I had the chat window. It was off to the side for a little bit. I don't know if me having glasses is important, but whatever. Okay, I want to keep everybody in this little death zone. That means I gotta close off this little door here. Oh, let me fix the snap. All right. There's just too many of these dudes. I don't want to restructure it. I just want to take some of you out. Because there's too many. The party's too crowded. Alright. And do I still have the player? Did I delete the player? No, I got the player. Good. So what I'm up to now is basically I'm testing out these explosion effects. I just got done making like a separate effect for the main player character who has a red tint So her explosion is supposed to be red too. It looks a little bit bloody. Not too bad though. I didn't really want it to be like a big bloody gory effect. So I'm going to stomp down on top of this guy. Okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. It looks a little bit, it looks a little dark. I know one thing I could do would be pretty easy to make it less dark. Yeah. Okay. Put that back. Make these accents more pronounced. Oh, that's right. What is that about? Okay. Is that what I want to do? Probably not. Okay. Okay. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay. So, I've been thinking about some of these effects and the right time to make certain refinements. One of the things that's on my mind is bringing in the post-processing effects. So I may be calibrating too much to what things look to what things look like before I add the post-processing. So I could add the post-processing in now and add things like bloom that makes like a glowing effect around certain colors. A lot of tweaking I could do there. But I don't think it's correct to bring it in quite yet. I think the correct order is I need to work on my walls and floors, which are the bulk of what you see on the screen. So I have copious notes and sketches related to what I would like these walls and floors to look like. There's the idea that there's strata to them, which are like the layers in geology, where everything at a certain height will have a certain look to it. Like it might be like a different texture, different pattern from height 1 right here up to height 3, and then that texture would carry around all the way in like a single continuous band. The point of that is not just for aesthetics, but that would give you a cue when you're looking at other parts of the level that might be far apart, where the height is going to be if you fling yourself across the room. Well, you get to that ledge that you looked at earlier, that you remembered was at a certain point relative to the strata. So anyways, there are some aesthetics related to walls and floors that I want to put in, and about that time is when I should add the post-processing effects. Because if I calibrate the post-processing effects around smaller, less fundamental aesthetics, it's like I'll be inefficiently optimizing for one thing when a larger change is going to be required when the other thing that's that is bigger is coming in, the floors and the walls. So after I get the post-processing in, then I'll take another pass at the explosions, because I want to see how effects like bloom are going to look with these guys as well. But it's mostly proven to me right now. It's got to be like close to 80% what I want. Just would like it to pop a little bit more, and that might happen with the post-processing. There are some other variations that I can make where it doesn't always show the same explosion animation for the same character. It could be randomized a little bit. But that looks pretty good to me. It really does. I might be being self-indulgent. Maybe I should be harder on myself. But I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks decent, to be honest. So anyways, this is a pretty good time to end the stream. Been on for a couple hours here. And yeah. For everyone who joined me, I appreciate it. If you feel like seeing me live, I think the next time is going to be Monday, 6 p.m. PST. This Sunday, 3 p.m., I'm skipping God Killer Gamedev Sundays because I'm on a trip, and I know from experience that streaming from a hotel room doesn't work very good. I might put a video update up. I will be working on coding. I do write some code or make some kind of progress on this every day, every single day. I don't care what the circumstances are. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm up to 39 days where every day I've done at least some token amount of work on the game. And most of those days it's been 2 hours of work minimum, and then on the weekends there's been much more time. So I'm dedicated to this. I will keep going on it. I will keep making constant progress. And thanks for watching. If this did anything for you, I'm happy. And see you later. Stopping the stream, stopping it now.